welcome back to the Brandon Premier Challenge here in Florida. I am Matt Stevenson. I am joined by a Surskit today. How are you feeling today? I agree. Very insightful. We are actually here for the finals now. As we've seen, the top 8 was we actually had pretty much every single person that was on stream here that made it in. The only person I think that actually didn't show up on stream at all was Landon Morjal coming in. Prior to this, he had actually not gotten out of top 8 at a local yet. However, he was getting top 8 at almost every local that he attended. So now that he's broken the top 8 curse, do you think Landon might be able to win it all? Interesting thing to think of going into this. Actually, 2 close team building buddies as well. And on the other side, you got Jonathan Martin. We just saw him last round. We just saw the Kyogre put on a pretty good show. They're getting in team preview right now. Looking at Jonathan's team, we've already seen most of what he does. It's rain mode with Kyogre, with Archaludon. Just a lot of Pokemon that synergize with the rain mode pretty well. And pretty much the stuff that we've been seeing, it's like the Terra Grass really helps into opposing Amoonguss matchups. And just overall, it's just nice to ignore Spore, to ignore Rage Powder, all of that. We saw what Terra Grass was doing for both the Urshifu and the Kyogre last round. Now looking at Landon's team, there's some similarities to what he had compared to Andrew. There's the Terra Normal Golden Go, different item choice. Both have the Incineroar, both have the Raging Bolt with the Assault Vest. Instead, Landon opts for Urshifu Rapid Strike with the Scarf set, Coaching, and Pokemon Cornerstone as the last Pokemon on that team in place of the Amoonguss. And now it looks like they're actually getting ready to start into the battle. Calyrex Ice into Kyogre, which I don't think we have seen that happen yet in the past weekend or two that we've been doing the locals here for Regulation G. And now we get into the battle. Looks like they're getting ready to lead. And Martin leads off with Kyogre and Amoonguss, and then leads off with Calyrex and Raging Bolt. This is actually a very threatening position for Landon right now because Raging Bolt plus Calyrex able to threaten very big damage on every Pokemon here. That said, Landon's Raging Bolt does not actually have Electro Web, so you can't really threaten the spread damage on this yet. More importantly, have a lot of damage potential right now with the with either Alex decides to click Ice Glacial Lance. I almost said Ice Lance, my bad. Or if the Bolt tries to call the Amoonguss Terraing Water and just Thunderbolt into it. That said, there's no counter weather in this, which means the whole game is going to be handled mostly in rain. Landon opts to terrestrialize his Calyrex Ice Rider into water, which I don't want to question about how the Ice Rider became water. Unfortunate implications on the horse, I guess. Jonathan's Kyogre opts to protect here. I believe scouting out what the Raging Bolt wants to do. I believe both of these were to scout out what's going on here. Landon's Rage Bolt switch into the Amoonguss, covering for potentially a Terra Water, but also to switch out. And then opted for Glacial Lance just for the spread damage. Also potentially covers doesn't Terra, or if the Kyogre does. Another potential play here is potentially for Landon to set up Trick Room and to try to power through the Amoonguss, because something he's not afraid to aggressively target the Amoonguss, which puts Jonathan in a position where he either has to call what Landon's trying to do or just swap the Amoonguss out. Alright, Jonathan, it looks like it's going to be Terra Water on the Amoonguss. Again, Landon's shown he's more than willing to throw the electric move into the Amoonguss, which with Unnerve in play, actually will not let the Fairy proc. Kyogre decides to click Water Spout here, which doesn't even do half to either Pokemon. Big. Volt goes back to the Pokeball via the effects of Volt Switch. And the Urshifu comes in. Urshifu is Choice Scarfed as well, so doesn't pick up a KO here. Still the potential for the Calyrex to get boosted by coaching. However, 4 goes into the Calyrex slot, putting it to sleep. But how's the Kyogre? Now that it's not at full health, the Water Spell's not doing a lot of damage anymore. Might potentially see him swap to Origin Pulse, or switch out, because both Pokemon here resist all of what Kyogre can do. After Regenerator Chip, its own Urshifu comes in here. That's a close combat coming in to cover the swap. Ooh, a critical hit picks up the Urshifu in one attack. Actually, that's a really big critical hit for Landon there. Would not have picked up otherwise. Origin Pulse comes out though, and I believe just one-shots Urshifu right back. Oh, well, they traded crits. That, can't really complain about that. You guys traded your Urshifus. Although I think the Urshifu trade is probably in Landon's favor because you don't have to deal with another water type in rain. Also still have 3 turns of rain left, so either of Jonathan's game plans and either serving the Kyogre, set up rain later, or for the Arcaludon comes out on Jonathan's side. Raging Bolt comes back out on the side, and we're in a scenario here. If the Calyrex wakes up, then you could potentially protect here on potentially an incoming. Another thing you could potentially be worried about here is Kyogre decides to, or Kyogre doesn't attack, and instead Arcaludon opts to like Draco Meteor. Do see Landon decide his moves. I understand the scenario that you also have to potentially think about the Calyrex waking up, and if the Calyrex wakes up, that puts you in a little bit better of a position. But unfortunately, the Calyrex stays asleep this turn. The Kyogre though does take a Thunderclap for its troubles. The Ice Beam doesn't pick up on the Calyrex. Fortunately, this means that Landon's going to lose his Calyrex here because of the Electric Shot, and that the Arcaludon's going to be at +1. Calyrex Ice Rider. Or in the back for the Landon. Run Rain, which is going to be very cats don't like water for a reason, is all I'm going to say. I believe Landon's going for this play because the Kyogre is going to probably protect cover for Fake Out, because Fake Out might pick up the Kyogre here. And damage that you need to try to get through Arcaludon, and if you can get through the Arcaludon this turn, get through the Amoonguss the next, and potentially you can Arcaludon first and the Kyogre, and then you can potentially still endgame against the Amoonguss. But Kyogre's still in a very strong position to try to. Jonathan opts to swap the Arcaludon out for Amoonguss, which means gotten some Regenerator Chip from coming in. And now that Calyrex is off the field, Unnerve doesn't play anymore. That actually procs. does. What this means now is there's no Rage Powder on the table to redirect the Kyogre, which means it doesn't want to take a Thunderclap for its troubles, and no more rain. After Shot now needs 2 turns to charge. Kyogre has to click Protect here if it doesn't want to take Thunderclap damage. That might be part of the problem here, is that it might shoehorn the Kyogre into not being able to actually do damage. The Kyogre does fail to Protect here, which means that is able to pretty much click a move here. Body Press into the Raging Bolt actually takes that out of the field. That just also means that Thunderclap's off the table, which means click Protect there. Now that it's on the field, it's actually just in position. It's still in the field on this turn. It's now in position to just click a Water Spout, or not a Water Spout, that's the other one, Origin Pulse. Close out the game. And if not Origin Pulse, then Arcaldon has Body Press still. Very strong performance from Jonathan game 1. Prevented the Calyrex from actually snowballing, and from there, the position Kyogre in rain, it actually goes to show just uncontested weather with Kyogre. Water Spout in rain is still Water Spout in rain. Talking about modifiers before with Miraidon, but Kyogre is a Pokemon that very much loves having its modifiers as well. Right, our competitors look to be getting back into the round. Another untimely thing that had happened was both Urshifu's getting critical hit by each other. Both Urshifu's basically going down to critical hits each. It meant that Scarf coaching into your ally Calyrex. What it also meant was not have a Mon of his own that also benefit from that rain in the same way that Jonathan's Urshifu does. That's one thing you have to worry about when you run a Pokemon that sets a field condition. Other Pokemon can actually set or can take advantage of your weather or field effect for you as well. We're also seeing it happen with Miraidon and Raging Bolt, where Raging Bolt last week in Orlando was actually able to put out a bunch of boosted electric damage too. Jonathan leads off Kyogre and Amoonguss, and off Raging Bolt and Incineroar. The rain's on the field, and the Kyogre's attack is down, the Amoonguss' attack is down. I don't think Intimidate matters here that much. More importantly, Incineroar is able to be in position to just for immune resist the Origin Pulse. Anything there. In all honesty, that's probably a pretty good spot for Landon, because on lead means you can fake out the Amoonguss, you can stop the from going off, so you can get a very clean hit into the Kyogre here. Actually, given that the Incineroar terra'd first, more than likely that either the Kyogre didn't, or Jonathan did not Terra at all, or more importantly, the Kyogre did not Terra. As you can tell, it went for Protect instead. It also does actually taunting the Amoonguss, stopping any sort of incoming Spore. How about before? It was one of the slots on Incineroar was instead replaced Taunt. It was under the give and take in the Team Builder, but as you can tell here, taunting the Team Builder on Incineroar is actually value. That being said, looking at this Incineroar on the team sheet, it is built to absolutely a nuisance to Amoonguss in every single way possible. Taunt to stop it from while it's on the field. A Terra Grass just in case the safety goggles get knocked off, and the safety goggles themselves. Actually, amount of anti-Amoonguss options on this one Incineroar is actually something to behold. Alright, Landon opts to Terra his Kyogre now. That's a pretty good position to be in, because this Incineroar does not actually have triplets, and even still, if it did, it would be stuck in rain. Knockoff does about half to the Kyogre, more importantly, knocking off the Mystic Water. And what this does is this puts the... Well, as it switches out, it gives something in. Especially Calyrex. There's no support in play because the Amoonguss is taunted. Calyrex is prime real estate to just flick the Glacial Lance here. Unless Jonathan opts to swap both of his Pokemon out. On-Puff comes into the Kyogre. Back up. Now it's actually on the it's on and to adapt to that now in order to not succumb to a Water Spout. I don't know the exact HP range where Origin Pulse starts to out damage Water Spout. I want to say it's 72%. But you're at a point now where you still have like the boosted Water move in Rain. You don't have the Mystic Water anymore, which means it's going to be slightly easier for Calyrex to actually take the move. But well, Kyogre and Rain. I have to keep drilling that in. It's the same reason why it's like have all the modifiers in play. Like round 3, Andrew versus Jonathan then. How it got in a Amoonguss almost. Archaludon comes in on Jonathan's side. Kyogre goes for the protect. You don't want to take the lens there if you can help it. More importantly, this covers as well for Incineroar clicking Parting Shot into the Kyogre. I might be seeing the last turn of Rain soon too. 4 turns after this. The thing you're worried about here if you're Landon is you know that the Archaludon is faster than your Incineroar. So do you feel comfortable going for anything on the Incineroar slot? But also actually make sure that the Calyrex can actually withstand the turn. Different lines that Landon can take here. It just comes down to him to spot which one it is, which 90 seconds on the 90 seconds on move select. Sometimes not as much time as you would like. Who comes in and Landon just does a double swap. Imagine rationale here is he wants to take the Water Spout or Origin Pulse pretty well. There's the difference of the Mystic Water being knocked off. Raging Bolt's able to survive the turn now. More importantly, now threatening super effective damage. There's no Amoonguss there to Pollen Puff back up. It is in a really good position to throw out some damage and try to make it stick. U-turn into the Kyogre from the looks of it. Kyogre might actually protect here. Jonathan has a potential play of protecting Kyogre calling a Volt Switch or calling a U-turn, and then clicking Electroshock into the Urshifu to get the start snowballing with the Archaludon. Takes it. Jonathan hard swaps Kyogre into the Amoonguss from the looks of it. So the top. Now what comes in over the Urshifu slot? Actually, legend right now. Aurora comes in. Shot. It comes down to how much this Draco Meteor from the Raging Bolt is going to do into the Archaludon. Only would be in range of Glacial Lance. Incineroar holds on. Right. That does about 2/3 to the Archaludon. More importantly, gets a stamina boost, so if the Calyrex gets into position, it has a little bit of wiggle room to work with. Rain stops here, which is another important thing. Incineroar also has Fake Out on the table, so I'm assuming Fake Out is going to probably be used here to stop the Amoonguss from being able to click Spore into whatever it wants. try to better facilitate Calyrex coming in later on. More important thing is, like, we're trying to stop the Amoonguss from clicking Spore as much as you can. Try to get Calyrex going. Caladon swaps out here. Kyogre to reset the rain. Decal plus Volt Switch that I'd seen from Landon. Take up with Draco. It's now is flinched. That Raging Bolt's actually a -4. Another thing you have to be worried about here is that the Amoonguss can still click Pollen Puff into the Kyogre. And Landon is looking at his potential options in the back to swap. But it's looking like might just have to swap the Urshifu, and if the definitely like deciding on like a move to do, this is not an easy turn to try to call. Oh, Hard switches out the Urshifu, trying to reset the drops from Draco Meteor. Looking at the Kyogre and Rain, there's a non-zero chance that this just Water Spout just to pick up both. On his position, I imagine he felt safe clicking that Water Spout. This is gonna more than likely then, as a result, be a Amoonguss clicking Pollen Puff to heal the Kyogre back up for more boosted power from Water Spout. Right, and this leaves Calyrex plus a very interesting scenario. Do you think that you have to be very worried if you're in Landon's position, because this is a near full power Water Spout in Rain? Is a full power Water Spout in Rain. It's only missing the water here. The thing you have to be worried about here is, do you think you pick up both Pokemon? That's what this game probably comes down to. The thing too with Jonathan is he actually has not revealed his final Pokemon as well, so depending on what's in the back, my assumption here is that it's Urshifu in the back. He hasn't tried to reveal it yet because there's still the Raging Bolt that's in play. Protect might be a double protect. Thunderclap to Water Spout a bit. That's actually a pretty big Thunderclap. Calyrex actually holds on. Protect on the Amoonguss means that even if this picks up on the Kyogre, that the Raging Bolt, if it were to survive the turn, would not be able to actually click Thunderclap into, say, like an Arcaludon or the Urshifu coming in the back. Good protect there on Jonathan's part. Calyrex gets a... But I think this might be too little too late for the Calyrex. In that Calyrex is not really fast. Urshifu in the back. It's Urshifu in Rain. Yeah, Landon looks of it. With that, Jonathan Martin is going to be your 30 needs Showdown champion. Congratulations indeed. From the sounds of it as well, 5 friendly fires. It seems like he pulled like everyone in like his team building group on the way to this. It's one of those things that happens sometimes. That's just the nature of like getting seeded. Sometimes you just get paired against your friends, which it sucks to sometimes put them out of this. But at the end of the day, it's still, it's like you took out your friends along the way. It has to feel good being the champion of this, especially because this is going to be the last streamed event of the season as well. Means we'll be holding on to that title for a while until locals resume after Worlds. So yeah, what have we learned today? I would actually say that being able to put out immediate damage with your field condition is good. We saw it with Elijah, with Miraidon, literally up until like top 4. Saw it with Jonathan now, with Kyogre and Rain. A lot of that is still good. Kyogre, I think, is beating the washed allegations. It was ever since Indianapolis, but it's another event where it still performed pretty well. Water Spout and Rain is very consistent, as you can tell. I think a very interesting thing about this game was actually the Amoonguss being able to Pollen Puff to keep putting the Kyogre back. And just being able to take multiple attacks like that lets you just firing them off, as long as you have the PP for it. Which, honestly, is a really cool thing to do. I actually am curious. We're going to reach out to Jonathan to see if he wants to be interviewed for this as well. And wave to him. You're getting interviewed. Let you hold on to this for the interview, but it looks like you have let's see if you a plushie of your own.
Yeah. Ow. Oopsie. Sorry. Owie.
All right. So, how does it feel?
I'm tired.
Tired? I could believe it. It's multiple rounds of Pokemon in a row, and yeah, that would do it to you.
Yeah.
From what I was hearing earlier, it sounds like you basically friendly fired like half of your team building group.
Yeah. I mean, it was me, Landon, Mammoth, and then Tech, Joven. They all came in a car, and I think it was like round 2. I was like, bro, I can't wait to go friendly fire,
And then you friendly fired the entire rest of the time.
Yeah, round 2 it was against Tech, then round 3 it was Mammoth, and then round 4 it was Landon, and then top 4 was Mammoth again, and then top 2 was Landon. Like, I mean, honestly, like, just going, like, if I had to choose like a better, like, a grand final, it would have been Landon. I think because while Elijah's a strong player, I have never been able to beat Landon like before, and like strong player. I truly believe in like his skill and like where like the potential he has. I might think this is just a fluke.
I wouldn't say that. A lot of the wins, I think every single win you had on stream was actually like a 2-0. Like, I was talking about it here from like the commentators booth. I kept hearing like, or I kept seeing like, yeah, Kyogre and Rain, Kyogre and Rain. Not only that, I think I realize I'm going to be the one asking you questions for this, but I think something I want to like see as my takeaway as the spectator of this is being able to sustain Kyogre, I've noticed, is actually really good. Like, you actually have to decisively, like, just decide to take it out right there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, yeah, if Water Spout's not going to be in play, you still have Origin Pulse, which, yes, you have to hit it. But also, if you don't take out the Amoonguss, and the Amoonguss and Kyogre on field with each other, you have to basically, like, decide right then and there which one you have to take out. And if you fail to do that, then it's very easy to undo the progress. And I personally, looking at that, I think it was a strength you absolutely showcased very well in every game you were on stream.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I've struggled with this team at the very beginning because this wasn't my team that I brought to Indianapolis because I brought Koraidon, and then it was just a team that I was able to, that my friend used that qualified for day 2, and I struggled a lot with the matchups, mostly because one, their advice was, oh, just Tailwind and Water Spout and you'll be fine, which, you know, not really great advice for me because, like, I need the lines for certain situations. And Ice Horse was one of the a team that I did not want to go against just due to the fact of most of the time they either carry Pelipper with White Guard or it's just a Bolt. And if they lead both, I really, really do not want to face it. So I had to, like, especially I think like as time went on, like with more losses, I was able to actually pick up with like some of the lines that I was told to, especially since like some teams, like I literally was like, I need to figure out lines and stuff, and I was able to help go with my building partners and stuff, and they were able to help me out with that. And just obviously they would always tease, be like, you should have just done this or this or this, and then I started picking up on it. Like,
I mean, also, like, looking at that, you always had Tailwind as an option, but I noticed very consistently it was just either Kyogre or Urshifu to just threaten immediate rain damage, or Kyogre and your Amoonguss.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to rely on like Torn as much, especially since while it does have taunt and can kind of mitigate like negate like the trick room, it's especially what I've learned from Ice Force players that most of the time they will play aggressive and they would just kind of click glacial lands, and I don't want to be in a position where I just allow like a +1 just straight to the horse. So I always have to try it like in position and like figure out which like what is the best positioning for me, or like is there any like mons that I could bring in that allow me to like kind of navigate the board and position myself better. And I think for like the grand finals, when I brought in Amoonguss, it was a gamble that I was willing to take because beforehand I usually would bring Urshi Kyogre like I did in top 4 against Mammoth. But I think in my mind I was like, I think just having the spore and the rage powder made it a little bit more interesting for just being able to know whether or not like one, if they're gonna go for an electric type moves or priority and all that. But it just also allowed me where like if since neither of the Mon had Terra Grass, I was able to just freely spore if I really wanted to.
That's an interesting thing to note with the Terra Grass. I was looking at your team sheet whenever we were going into this. I saw half the team had Terra Grass. My first thought in my mind is like, he must hate Amoonguss.
Yeah, I mean, it just to help navigate the just Amoonguss and any spore and just or any rage powders. It comes in clutch a lot, but I will admit I do feel like that is just like one key downside of it.
I actually think in this event it actually was a strength of yours because in almost any Amoonguss matchup I noticed you just basically had the ability to force someone to effectively coin flip.
Yeah,
it was just like Amoonguss is especially a Pokemon. I think it's got a lot of value in this format because it's what I was saying before last week with kind of like how Miraidon is. For a Pokemon that hits like a bus, it can't hit like a bus if you stop it from moving.
yeah.
Like if the bus never gets going in the first place, you can't hit with it.
No, yeah, which is hence why I have to run the Terra Grass. It just kind of helps out a lot and just be able to, negate the spore and the rage powders, and especially with certain mons like with Arcaludon and Urshifu, who are only like they only target one mon compared to Kyogre, which most of the time if I go Terra Grass is just to turn that super effective grass type move into a resisted or even the electric type, and just be able to just water spout. But most of the time I do try to like prioritize the Terra, especially now lately, because before I would just just spam Terra turn 1 and then I instantly would realize this hurts me a lot late game.
I noticed you were using that to your advantage, especially because like looking at the team sheets between Landon and you, it's very interesting to look at because Terra Grass is like a huge like option into the Amoonguss. It didn't come into play against Landon, but it actually, to a degree, kind of could also serve as a detriment into the Calyrex. That's actually something in your set with Andrew that I actually really liked, was able to very effectively use that Terra Grass to force those sorts of plays with the Amoonguss.
Mm-hmm, yeah, since Mammoth and Landon's both had similar teams, I was able to just kind of have similar lines, even though like the leads for both of them were entirely completely different. And I think it was just more so to one, I need to prioritize killing Bolt because without Amoonguss it just ruins my team, and then from there try to do as much chip damage as I can just to be able to hopefully in the ending game either have our Caludon or Kyogre just to be able to clean up, and just if anything I'll just sack off the Urshifu or the Amoonguss.
I actually really like how they had the Urshifu like going through the event. Most of that time, I think that was just your default lead.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think I could see it being like a concern against you in terms of like that looked like a comfort lead for you. That looked like the only thing you were really worried about is opposing weather. So how did it feel playing into some weathers that you just are not even into any like weathers? I think most of the time you're unopposed with your weather.
Most of the time, yes, but I do struggle a lot with weather wars. I didn't face a lot of them here. I think the only condition that I faced that when it came to like weathers was just Terapagos terrestrializing and just negating all of that. But usually I have Torn as a backup where if I know they're going to either one bring in a sunsetter like Koraidon, Groudon, or Whimsicott going for Sunny Day, or just Terapagos terrestrializing, I'm able to hopefully, like if I can get the read correctly, can just go for the Rain Dance, so I'm able to just help Kyogre out, especially to just kind of get off the water sports in case I know like, oh, it's more than likely gonna faint this turn, and then if not, I could just deal damage and then Urshifu could come in and clean up.
Some other crazy thing that I was seeing is going back to like earlier in the event, I saw for Kyogre in rain, nearly one shot in a Amoonguss off a critical hit. How did that one feel?
Honestly, I don't remember that. I'm like brain fog right now. But I think the damage roll is like it brings it very, very low to a point where like if I double into it,
It's just gone.
yeah, it is just gone. I think for like one of the rounds, I don't remember which one. The position was great for me turn one, where I was able to just kind of bleak win water spout, and then not only be able to do so much damage water spout, but bleak win was able to pick it up and just clean up the Amoonguss. And honestly, the amount of damage that water spout does is it's a lot. It's a lot. It's
I mean,
a
for the
lot.
longest time, in singles, it was the single strongest move in the entire game.
Yeah, and yeah, and it was just especially like in this meta, since it's heavily like single restricted heavy. It's it's a move that like it has its great benefits of like it does a lot of damage, but if you are very slow or you get outsped and it does a little bit of chip, that chip actually matters.
That's something I noticed as well, which is why like the importance of like the Amoonguss came into play there. There is a specific damage point that like the Origin Pulse actually starts being stronger than the Water Spout, but then you risk the chance to miss.
Yeah, it's one of those calls where it's like I have to decide right there and then if I want to go for the water spout or just gamble and go for Origin Pulse, because I've done a lot of calcs and I've played a lot of like Showdown where I know like after a certain point Origin Pulse is the play, but I missed Origin Pulse today in like my round 4 and that pissed me off.
Oh no!
And then I missed Bleak Win, so that
You wanted to go for something that was more consistent of an option, even if it was a little bit more conditional.
I wanted more damage output. Like it missed both of the bonds, and like Terrapagos like terrestrialized, and it removed the rain, and then I was like, okay, Bleak Wind misses, okay, that's fine, and then the Origin Pulse missed, and then I was like,
Well, what matters is you were able to bring it back. So, bringing it back from like what you consider to be a very rough round 5,
yeah,
brought it back to a win.
I don't, I don't want to think about it.
Well, don't think about the round 5. Think about the fact that you won it. And honestly, since it's the last streamed event of the season, you're basically going to be a defending champion going into next season.
Or what now?
Yeah, this is the last streamed event of the season.
Don't I have to defend my title now?
Possibly. I mean, we do have a premiere challenge here tomorrow, or on Monday if you're going to that one. If not, then I heard you saying that you might be going to the one in Jacksonville.
Yeah, there's an MSS happening in Jacksonville. If my friend group wants to attend, I more than likely will be joining them, and if not, I'll just be joining like a little bit of family time back in Miami this week. So you know, either way, I'll be enjoying myself.
That'll be good. That is gonna do it from us here. This has been the Nerdy Needs premiere challenge or midseason showdown. There's a premiere challenge on Monday. I'm getting these mixed up. This has been the Nerdy Needs midseason showdown here in Brandon, Florida. From all of us here at Florida VGC, I've been Matt Stevenson, and this has been our champion,
Jonathan /Laura. Yay!
All right, take care.
Bye bye.